So, you've had plenty of time to talk to people and snoop around. Who's the culprit? Let's hear it.
Well, I think the person doing the bad things around here is...
At this point in the game, you can name any of the 6 characters as your main suspect.
Actually, my prime suspect is you.
Me? Are you sure?
Well, on second thought...
And it turns out that no matter who you pick as the culprit, that person will end up being the culprit. That's right, this game has 6 different endings, one for each of these 6 characters. So you can basically choose how the game is going to end at this point. Pick a person's name from a list, and that person is going to be the culprit. Now, just to make sure that my walkthrough is nice and complete, I'm going to show you what happens with all 6 possible endings.
I still think it's you.
What kind of cockamamie conclusion is that?
I found proof that you've been embezzling large amounts of money from this place. I think you've been planting bombs as a diversion to keep the Redondo's owners from taking a good look at the ledgers until you can arrange to be long gone.
Well, sorry to disappoint you, but despite whatever you've misconstrued to be proof of my guilt, you are completely and totally wrong. In fact, let's not waste any more time here. I'm darn near positive Cassidy is our guy. He's been acting real weird lately, so head to the Zen Zone. He has to keep track of the tea and herb inventory, so he spends a lot of time down there. Maybe you can dig up some real proof.
Will do.
And here's what happens if Cassidy is the culprit.
I still think it's Cassidy Jones. I found a link between him and a bomb I managed to defuse, and I overheard a conversation that made it sound like he and one of the guests are up to something. I just can't prove anything yet.
Cassidy spends a lot of time in the Zen Zone. Maybe you should try looking for proof in there.
I'll do that.
Here's what happens if you name Mrs. Montague as the culprit.
I still think it's Mrs. Montague. She's extremely angry about that botched procedure her dog underwent, and she's bent on getting back at the Redondo by any means she can. I just can't prove anything yet.
Try looking in that Prita bag she always carries. Things like a portable bank vault. If proof she's our mad bomber exists, chances are you'll find it in there. Right now, she's getting a massage in the ivory room.
Then that's where I'm headed.
And here's what happens if the culprit is Jasmine Ivy.
My prime suspect is Jasmine Ivy. I'm pretty sure she's been planning the bombs along with threatening notes in hopes that word she's the target of some mad bomber will leak out and get her a bunch of publicity.
I told the board encouraging Hollywood riffraff to come here would cause nothing but trouble, but would they listen? No, morons. She spends most of her time in her room. Take a really good look around in there and find proof she's the bomber. Then I can go to the board and say I told you so.
I'll try.
And here's what happens if Helfton is the culprit.
I still think it's Helfton Helgeson. As you're well aware, he deeply resents the fact that you won't let him put his name on any of the products he's developed for the Redondo.
That wasn't my decision. It was the board of directors' decision, with which Helfton fully agreed when he signed on here. It was either fame or fortune, and he chose fortune.
Well, apparently now he wants the fame. I think he's been planting bombs in hope of forcing the Redondo to shut its doors so he can start his own place and get recognized for his work. I just can't prove anything yet.
Ungrateful idiots. Get down to his lab and don't leave until you can prove something.
I'll do my best.
And finally, this is what happens if Joanna Brown is the culprit.
I still think it's Joanna Brown.
The janitor? What does she have against this place?
She seems to detest Jasmine Ivy. I think she's willing to destroy the Redondo just to get back at her. For what, I'm not sure yet, nor do I have any proof.
She spends an inordinate amount of time in the medical waste room. Always changes the subject when I try to ask her why. Maybe you'll find your proof in there.
It's worth a try.
So, as you can tell from those 6 conversations, there are 5 possible places for Nancy to go. the guest room, the ivory room, the laboratory, the waste disposal room, and the Zen zone. Each one of these 5 places has a piece of evidence for Nancy to find, and in this video walkthrough, I will visit each one of these rooms in turn. When you play the game yourself, you are going to visit only 4 of those 5 locations, and 2 of them are going to have bombs. I know it sounds kind of complicated, but don't worry, I'm sure you'll be able to figure it out. As for right now, I'm going to go to the guest room, that is the room belonging to Jasmine Ivy.